when I do rec wheel, I enjoy like the challenge of like bringing the wrong
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
um, I think that's kind of the fun of this, this $800 truck is like you're not supposed to take a crew cab long bed like on a rock trail. Like
Yeah.
that's not what most people would pick, So
Right.
it's like, well, is it going to make it harder? Okay, then I'm in. Let's do it.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dirt Drive Podcast. This week it is Tom and I, and we're joined by special guest Kevin Jones, also known as UltraPoor Jones. What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because this is actually our first time ever chatting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've DM'd a little bit back and forth on Instagram. I found your guys' podcast not that long ago and heard you guys talking about some UltraPoor and King of the Hammers stuff, and it sounded like something you guys haven't really been too much of a part of, but like I think most off-roaders have an aspiration or ambition to get involved with it, and I just kind of reached out and
You're like,
thought maybe I could help.
you told me, you're like, you guys got a lot of shit wrong, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we did. It's nothing we know about, but we've been watching for a few years.
Yeah.
Then I was like, come on, man, come on the show and tell us what we got wrong.
Sure. I had a lot of preconceived notions too before I get involved, and there's a lot of inaccuracies and just details about King of the Hammers and stuff that until I think you're deep in it, that most people just don't know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna end up going this year. I think we've got plans to go with Gear Monkey and help out on their team, and then maybe do some rescue recovery stuff. So we'll get our toes a little wet this year. Maybe in
Hopefully.
like 5 years after the two babies that are in the group grow up and we can afford a race car, we'll have a race car for the group. But we're just hoping to make it out there this year and do a lot of learning. How long have you been involved in?
I grew up more on the hot rod, like drag racing side of the motorsports.
Okay.
And then in 2013, I went to Hammers for the first time with a buddy that was racing stock class, had a Toyota, and I got hooked pretty instantly, and I helped him for a handful of years, and then I started racing myself in 2019.
So let's backtrack a little bit. You said hot rods. I started in hot rods. I've got a 7.1 Camaro split bumper RS with a LS swap going on right now in my shed in my backyard. What hot rods were you into?
As a kid, I was a Ford guy. Now I'm kind of non-denominational, but growing up, I had Mustangs, Galaxy. I haven't written them all down in a long time, but I think I've owned like 100 cars in my life.
Damn.
So pretty much anything I owned, I tried to make faster.
Hell yeah. So did you drag race your
I think
cars?
my fastest, there was a drag strip a few hours away, and when I was kind of in that phase, I had a Fox body Mustang, and then later I had a Dodge Dakota RT that I put a Vortex supercharger on.
That's not a classically fast
Those were
truck.
kind of my drag race toys.
Hell yeah.
No, but it did good. What I was getting smoked by was that was right when people started hot rodding diesel trucks.
Oh.
So I was all proud of my high 12-second Dakota, and there were Duramaxes out there running 11s.
Yeah, they're fast. I actually just sold my Duramax today, and when I took the guy for a test drive, I'm like, dude, you're more than welcome to lay on it. Just give me the cash first. Yeah. Like you can jump as soon as you hand me the money. You can lay into this truck as much as you want, but do not do it on a test drive because they're quick. It would.
Yeah.
I could merge on the highway with my trailer and my Jeep on the merge ramp before I'd hit the main lanes of the highway. I'd be doing 90 miles an hour in my Duramax. I wouldn't suggest it, but it's just fun as shit.
It's amazing what. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah, my turbo diesel was turned up, and now it's sitting with a broken block in my driveway. So.
What are you doing? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been noticing the 7.3 builds or attempt at builds on Instagram. What's the backstory there?
Yeah, I bought an OBS Ford, a '97 F-250, like 11 years ago. Left it stock for a long time, and then kind of put some money into it like 5 6 years ago, turning it up, and I thought I had a very safe combination, but somehow I cracked the block about a year ago,
Okay.
and you know, currently trying to do race car things and house things and family things, and now fix a pretty expensive engine to put back together. And I kept trying to pick up some used engines off Craigslist and Marketplace, and turns out they were used for a reason. So
Yeah, they usually
and
are.
kind of every time back to the drawing board. Yeah.
But you've been doing. Is it a diesel
Yep.
that you've been off-roading, the white one that you've been posting a lot of pictures of?
Yep.
On the trails. Is that the same
Yep.
one that's blown up?
Well, not the Super Duty one. That one's a gasser that I bought as a cheap truck recently. But the old OBS one that, yeah, I mean it's an off-road truck essentially, but it was always still my tow vehicle. But I did
Okay.
like a radius arm. Got rid of the TTB and I did a radius arm Dana 60 in the front on coilovers, and kind of a longish travel leaf in the rear with bypasses, and tried to make it like a kind of do anything
Nice.
truck.
Nice. Yes, you've been wheeling that one a lot. It seems like recently. What's
Well, that's the different one. That's the gas Super Duty.
Yeah.
The one that's been on my Instagram and YouTube lately. That's just a $800 truck I bought.
That's a nice $800
I was
truck.
going to say, that's Super
Pretty much.
Duty?
Yeah, it's got the 5.4. It's from Minnesota, so it's super rusty, like really really rusty, and the catalytic converter had gotten stolen, so the guy was just 100% over it, and he put it on Marketplace for $1,400, and my daily limit at the ATM was 800, so I offered him $800, and he took it. So I ran to the ATM and
Nice.
gave him the cash.
Nice. Yeah, that rust will that's what drove me to selling my truck. And I literally sold it an hour before we started. It was just the rust. It was a Pennsylvania truck. It was getting too bad to catch up with. But yeah, let's
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild for me, somebody in California, that like we don't have rust.
No.
Unless something's lives at the beach, but most vehicles don't have any rust on them at all, and the amount of cancer in that truck is it's mind blowing to me. And
ungodly.
like simple things, like I tried to take off the factory tow receiver, and it's just 8 bolts, but I mean it should have taken me 15 minutes to take off, and I think 2 hours later, and
Only 2
a bunch
hours?
of molten metal, I finally had it off. It's just
That's not bad.
it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's miserable. My
Yeah.
my first towing trip with if the guys listen to it that just bought my truck, it's rusty as hell. My first towing trip with my truck, I put my trailer on, Jeep on the trailer. We were dropping the dogs off at my fiance's now wife's house, or wife's dad's house, and halfway down the road, I noticed the tongue of the trailer, like because you can see it in your mirrors, wasn't sitting where it needs to be. So I pulled into his driveway, and the hitch ball was about 2 inches from dragging asphalt because it had just rusted and fallen off. And I scrambled because I was guiding that weekend for an event, and I had scrambled and called one of my buddies with a 1500, like a beat 1500 Ram, and he came and dragged it there. And I think that's what killed that truck too. But yeah, the rust is miserable. And then I took my diesel to Tom's shop, and I think we did the molten metal and plasma cutting, and it was not fun. Rust is an absolute killer.
Yeah. I mean, we're just used to it, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't ever want to get used to it. I don't enjoy it. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It made everything. I haven't even done much to that truck, but it made everything I touched, take 3 times as long and be twice as frustrating. And
Yep.
Things you should be able to reuse, you have to throw away and go find new ones.
Yeah.
Like the clamp that holds the air filter.
Oh
in,
shit!
Just that kind of circular band clamp that
That's
rusted apart. I
that's
tried
bad.
to check the air
That's,
filter, and
that's really bad.
yeah, I tried to check the air filter and it broke in half, and I was like, I don't even know where to go buy this. Like, so
Just cold air intake.
yeah,
It's good. Good to
not
go.
a fan of the
Duct
rust.
tape, zip ties.
Yeah, K&N.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, zip ties don't rust. That's my pro
Yep.
tip.
You just look like
Mm.
trash.
Yeah. No, I'm going to back up again, but you had mentioned like
Yeah.
the misconceptions of fans and hammers and Ultra 4 in general. Like what is the biggest misconception there?
I think the biggest one, and I don't mean to upset, any of
Go
the
for it.
organizers or promoters or anything like this, but uh, from the outside looking in, you think that it's just perfect and amazing and like the most high level pro thing, you could go do, and then you kind of get involved and you see behind the curtain and you realize, oh man, it's just a bunch of rednecks that like motorsports, but
Yeah.
no, nobody knows how to like run the business and organize all the emails and all that stuff. So I think that's kind of like the unfortunate part about it, because the racing is super fun, the event is amazing, participating in it, but the organizational side is always to be lacking. I'm sure everybody by now has seen the drivers meeting that went
Yeah.
viral this year from
Yeah.
King of the Hammers. Stuff like that. You end up with a lot of events like that that just maybe they lack some of the professional stuff that you thought you might experience when you decide to
Yeah, that's one of the things
race a
that
race like King of the
that
Hammers.
blows my mind about hammers and I guess it was Ultra 4 Racing and now it's who owns it now? I can't remember because it just got sold,
So
right?
yeah, a couple out of, I think, Oklahoma. I don't know where they actually live full time, but Jason and Gayla Robinette, they
Okay.
bought the series, so they
Okay.
own what's now called Ultra 4 USA, and then Dave Cole kept Hammer King Productions and King of the Hammers,
Okay.
if I understand it
But
correctly.
yeah, like my wife is involved in a big corporation, and she does their annual meeting planning, and they have a massive team of people that put together this meeting for like 60,000 people that travels around the country. I'm surprised that I guess King of the Hammers grew too fast, and they haven't had time to get that organization together. I'm surprised they don't have like a full staff of like 30 to 40 people putting on this event because it's just such a massive undertaking to literally build a city, and if with the like small or no organization, it's pretty wild that it actually gets done.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that's amazing, and like I was out in Johnson Valley um, before Hammers, just on my dirt bike, kind of checking out the King of the Moto
Yeah,
terrain and stuff. But they had started, this was probably a month before Hammers. The first survey crews had just gotten out there and they were starting to survey the lake bed and
just
put
a
in all
month.
the little survey markers so that they knew, yeah, just to mark the desert.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they've got some things that are absolutely amazing, and the infrastructure that they have to move out there, the way they bury cable for power and communications, like all throughout the desert. They trench it and bury it and then pull it back up a month later. Like
That's wild.
I didn't know
it's
that.
pretty wild what they do. But there are some, I guess, business organizational things that yeah, are always tough. There's always some of the same, and I think it's a lot of it too stems from passion. The Dave Cole's really passionate about it, so he gets amped up, and then all the racers are passionate and they've got a lot of money and time invested in this, and so you combine all that passion, and it doesn't always produce
Yeah,
a,
Efficient.
efficient. Yeah,
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cohesive.
yeah. So yes,
Are you
sometimes feelings get hurt, I guess.
are you involved in the production of the race at all? Or are you just a racer, just
No,
racing?
no, not at all. And yeah, I guess like I think I have had a couple people reach out to me because I took the Instagram handle Ultra4Jones, and
Yeah,
they
that's why I
think
ask.
that maybe I have some official capacity, and honestly it was really short-sighted on my part, because I bought a race car and somebody said, "Oh, you got to do marketing. You have to have a whole, you know, social media profile for this and blah blah blah." And I didn't know what to call it. So I'm literally staring at a race car in my garage and I'm trying to come up with an Instagram handle, and um, I was like, "Well, it's Ultra 4 and I'm Jones," and like, Ultra 4 Jones. It works. But the short-sighted nature of that was, eventually if things go well enough for me, I would imagine I get a cease and desist letter from Ultra 4 saying,
Yeah.
you're falsely representing or advertising yourself, or you're making money off of our name or something. But
And you never got it.
maybe that's how I'll know when I made it. No, I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not doing too good of a job.
That's all right. What was your first race car?
But I've mostly it was a very, very old tube chassis buggy that was built on the East Coast actually, and then when King of the Hammers came around, the guy chopped the back of it off, put a giant fuel cell on the back to do this endurance style rock racing, and it passed around a couple different people before it got to me, and it was just super cheap as far as race cars go, and it was a way for me to get started, and I was pretty excited to have that opportunity. But I didn't race it long before I knew that it was antiquated, unsafe, bad geometry, just lacking a lot of things that you would actually build into a race car. So ended up parting it out, keeping some stuff, and been working on my new car ever
But
since.
it was just a good way to get into the sport. I mean, any way that you get into the sport's a good way to get in, I guess. I started wheeling with a Cherokee and I've still got it, but it's antiquated technology, leaf springs. I mean, it's got long travel, but like you just got to get in and start somewhere. But I mean, that seems like a good place to get to start you. And if you've been doing it since 2013, you got a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that, like yourselves or whoever that say they want to go racing, don't build a car, just buy a car. There's plenty of, and I know like you guys like, oh, we have a shop, we could save money, we could do whatever. No, you need to find somebody like the Daniel May Applegate that's like over it, they're done or something, and their Cherokee is tech legal, it's everything, and it's for sale for 20 grand, and you guys just buy it and go learn, because you're gonna learn like, oh, I wouldn't build a cage this way, oh, I wouldn't put the suspension points right there, I would do this, or I'd put the fuel cell farther back, or all those things. And to build a car for a race that you've never even been a part of, I just feel like you'd have so many woulda, shoulda, couldas when it comes time.
Yeah, I think we're all.
I'm very appreciative that
I think we're a long way from from building a car. I'd like to eventually. It would probably be
Sure.
I mean, Miller Motorsports is right here. It'd probably be a Miller Motorsports chassis, just because they're local and we've got connections to them.
Yeah.
Loose connections to them.
Yeah, I'm used to the whoops, should have done this differently mentality. Like, it's the I'm a firm believer in learning the hard way, whether it's beneficial for me or not, but it's kind of how I've made it as far as I have. So the idea, the challenge for me isn't like I've got the engineering mind in the group, so like building it is what challenges me, and I want to build it just to say I attempted it, even if I fail. And then if we actually do race it, that'd be great. But more for
we'll call it a Mint 400 car. We'll race it in the Mint.
Yeah. We'll test it on the trails here first and see if it rusts away or not.
Yeah. Well, I think a rolling chassis for Miller is like 40 G's, so that's a pretty
that's gonna be a
pretty
hard
hefty start. But, those cars. I mean, you do something like a Miller, you don't have to, design or
you don't have to do anything.
Every single part of that car has a part number. It's the way to go. But
so you're building your new race car now. Did you started with I'm assuming somebody's chassis?
Yeah, I was going to. I'd been pretty vocal about the old car. I felt like was kind of holding me back and not what I wanted, and that I was gonna part it out and start building a car. And a chassis builder about 5 hours away from me approached me at Hammers, and he said, "Well, what's your plan?" And I said, "Well, I was just gonna buy some tube and go for it." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. I don't think that's a good idea." And I said, "Well, but it fits my budget, And he said, "Well, what if I was able to help you do something and it fit your budget?" So we went back and forth for probably 6-9 months, I think, before we kind of inked something, and he cut the first tube. You know, we went back and forth on the design a bit, and what it was he's trying to get a chassis business off the ground, and he thought if he built me a chassis and we got it out on the racetrack and got it some pedigree, that that would help his business and it would help me. So we both saw some mutually beneficial parts to that partnership. And yeah, I took delivery of that. It was gonna initially just be a tack welded together chassis that still needed a lot of the lacing to make it super strong in like the firewall area and connect some of the frame rails. But he was going to leave all that stuff out because I hadn't it wasn't, the whole thing's not designed in CAD as far as like engine mounts and shock mounts and all that stuff. So he ended up having the time, so he fully welded what he delivered, or what I picked up from him. And then I've just been struggling in the garage trying to get everything exactly where I want it. Definitely suffering from analysis paralysis and things like that. But I'm really, really close to having all of the moving parts figured out. Suspension and steering, and I'm hopeful that once that's done, that all of the static objects, seats and steering column and radiator mount and all those things, that they'll start flying in a lot faster. But it's been really, really hard for me to get everything where I want it to get, the suspension travel right and keep the geometry good, and not have clearance issues. It's been a big learning curve. I've never built a full tube chassis vehicle like this. So.
Are you building it in your garage at home, or you got a shop somewhere that you got space and you can do it there? Or?
No, I do everything in my garage.
That's dope.
We've got a little bit of property, and I've got a permit to build a little shop, but I don't have the money for it right now because I'm spending all of it on my race car. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. But it's just we have a 3-car garage. My wife parks her car in the single stall, and then I have the 2-car as like my workshop. So
nice.
I just do everything in there. Yeah, crammed a lot of tools and a lot of stuff into a 2-car garage. But
what's your background that you're confident cutting and welding on tube chassis and getting into all that? Like, where'd you get that start?
Yeah, my dad always did auto mechanic stuff out of necessity because he didn't have the money. So he would always do his oil changes and brake jobs and stuff like that, and I would help him in the garage. But he never modified anything ever. It was always just, I'm doing the work myself to save myself money. And so I got used to being in the garage and used to using tools. And then from like, I don't know, the time I had my first dirt bike when I was like 12, he just comes home one day and I've taken the whole thing apart. And he just didn't understand it. He's like, why would you, ruin a perfectly good anything? And that's always been something that's hard for him to understand, watching me take perfectly good vehicles and destroy them. But they all teach you something when you do that. So then it was like metal shop in high school. I was fortunate enough that we had a metal shop and we had an auto shop, and then got into automotive mechanics and turned wrenches for a couple of years and decided I didn't want to do that the rest of my life, and worked in a machine shop for a couple of years, working on some drag race cylinder head stuff, and then became a firefighter. Nice. But the passion has always been automotive and mechanical. So I always come back to, I just like being in the garage.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not, you talk about like the confidence to do it. I don't have the confidence to do what I'm doing. I think that's why it takes me so long.
Yeah, I get that.
The analysis paralysis. Yeah, I get that.
The overthinking it.
That's pretty cool. I realized you were a fireman probably a few weeks ago. How does that, because we're also both firemen.
Yeah.
How does that tie into, how do you feel like that ties into racing and like building cars and doing this stuff? Because I've got my own opinion about how I think it ties in. I want to hear your opinion about that.
Sure. I could put a couple things in pros and cons categories. The pro, I would say, is the job has taught me some probably like preparedness skills from like, just like we train and we try to keep things so that, at 2 a.m, whatever, you could do it in your sleep, right?
Yeah.
So I think from that side of it, it's helped with the race car thing because I try to eliminate variables and I try to make every part of the program or every part of the car as perfect and foolproof and failure, like eliminate all the failures I can. And I think some of that is probably from the fire service because you're always taught to just keep all your equipment in as good a shape as possible. The bad side is like the job is so demanding. I don't know, how it works back east where you guys are as far as like the schedule and the full time versus volunteer and all that, but it's so demanding that it really doesn't allow me to do the off-road racing in the way that I would like to.
Yeah.
I have a lot of commitments at work on weekends and holidays, and it really takes me away from the motorsport, lifestyle and the racing. And I don't like that part of it, but I do think that the job has given me some, skill sets, I guess, that have helped me.
Yeah, we're both volunteers, but we've got a good buddy who's career, and he's got all the money in the world to build the coolest Jeep.
Yeah.
His Jeep is awesome.
Yeah,
he's got none of the time to go out and wheel.
Yeah.
I personally haven't been on a wheeling trip with him in probably 2.5 years.
The last 2 times his Jeep's been out, I've been driving it.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely get the time commitment. It's a huge time commitment, but you have like odd days off. Like you'll get like a Wednesday off, or I don't know if you're like 24/72s or 24/48s or Kelly's schedules or what you guys are doing. But yeah, it just gives you odd opportunities during the week to work on your shit when like it's just quiet and you can actually make it to the hardware store when they're open, or the welding shop because they're open on a Tuesday or Wednesday and not on a Saturday or Sunday.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I do enjoy when I've got a couple, weekdays to get some stuff done, but when you have to work 2 weeks straight because, some giant fire in California, that really makes it hard to maintain any consistency or anything in the garage.
Are you doing wildland stuff or are you structural?
Yes.
Yes.
We are yes. We are both where I'm at in Southern California. Yeah, we have at the station I'm at today, we have both engines, a typical street city fire engine, and we have a 4-wheel drive, brush truck.
Oh, cool.
I lived in Colorado for a while and volunteered out in the sticks of Colorado, and same thing. I went from an East Coast firefighter out there and walked into a firehouse, and they were like, "Oh, cool, you've got certs, here you go." And they handed me a pile of brush gear, and I was like, what is this for? So I think I lived out there for 2 years and ran one structural fire call and probably 30 or 40 brush calls. So yeah, I get it.
Right.
It's miserable.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm gonna try something. I've been doing it what feels like a long time now. I'm gonna try something different this summer. We've got a recruit academy that's gonna start here next month, and I'm gonna go on a 40-hour work week, be assigned to the academy. So I'm gonna actually I'm gonna see what it's like for 4.5 months to go home every night. I haven't had a job where I've gone home every night in 20 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't even know if my wife's going to like that. My wife may not even want me home every night. But I figure if she doesn't, I'll just go in the garage and work on the car.
Exactly. Yeah, our buddy who is a professional firefighter in Northern Virginia, he just had a kid, and part of him having a kid is he's at the academy now full time, and he's loving it.
Yeah.
He's loving the opportunities. He's doing all the social media stuff and doing all that. I'm actually surprised how much he's liking it.
Yeah,
because he's tech rescue Tom with hazmat, and he's a medic and all that stuff. But now he's just reserved to setting hay bales and pallets on fire, and he's couldn't be happier from what I understand.
Right. Yeah. I think I could I think it could work out well. It's, and if it doesn't, it's only a temporary assignment, and I'll go back to the fire station life when it's over. But I want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
See if it helps me get a little bit more done in the garage.
Yeah. The one thing that I found that the fire service really helped me do is like active problem solving, and in the field, I guess in the field of being a fireman, but also in the woods or on the trails. Yep. That's actually what I enjoy the most. Like if we're having a good day on the trail and nothing breaks, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like when I actually get to use my active problem solving skills that I've learned over the last 7-8 years of being in the fire service, it's really when like the fun starts. It's like when the shit hits the fan and stuff's not going right. That's the fun stuff. I imagine it's a little different when you're racing, but you also have that benefit of that skill set of, oh shit, stressful situation. How do we get this fixed and stay calm?
The mental efficiency.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's, something that, people have told me about with like the racing stuff. They're like, oh, you don't really get super excited, in the car. And I don't know. I feel like I've gotten all the excitement out of my system, it's just, for me, time in the car is more of that, like you say, that critical thinking of how to,
it's almost peaceful because you're in the zone
ahead of whatever we're doing right now.
What class are you building this new car for?
I'm gonna stay in 4800. I like 4800 because, I kind of nickname it junior varsity. So if you think of like 4400, the unlimited class, that's the one where if you got the big checkbook, you just go for it, and that's where all the big tires and big shocks and big motors and all that stuff is. But you step down a class to 4800, and just the few rules we have really help put a little bit, like, I'm hesitant to say it because there's some really high dollar 4800 cars, but I think it helps create a little bit of a cap money wise, and it makes it a little bit more attainable for guys like me. We have to run a 37-inch DOT tire, and there's guys in the class that they've been kind of vocal about they want us to be allowed to run 40s, and I'm pretty open about saying, well, you should move up to 4400. Like just leave my little junior varsity class alone. Like on a 37-inch DOT, number one, like I have a chance of affording tires, but I also have a better chance of getting, help or sponsorship at that level. But if I'm on the hook for 40-inch tires, that's just one more cost incurred. Now, if I've got 40s, I'm going to break my little 35 spline axle shafts, and I'm going to need 40 spline. And it just, I really like it the way it is. And I think 4800 class is, right now, I think it's one of the best classes.
It's probably one of the most competitive.
There's a lot of people in it. Yeah. You can show up at any race, and there's a lot of 4800 cars, which makes it fun. You're not just getting some fake trophy like some under participated class. If you get a podium in 4800, which I haven't gotten yet, like you've earned it. Like it's legit.
I can say from a spectator point of view too, the 48s are definitely more fun to watch. Like the 4400s are wild and it's exciting, but it's also a spaceship. Like it's just it doesn't seem like a challenge, as a hobbyist rock crawler. I'm watching it on TV going, oh yeah, I see a line there, I see a line there, and the 4400 guys just walk right up these cliffs or right down the cliffs, and it's like, what, like that's not, it's almost not fair. I mean, I know it's part of racing, but like it's not as much fun to watch. Like you don't relate to the struggle that everybody else has. Yeah, and with the Broncos coming into the 4600 class, it's kind of taking an unfair advantage there too. So really, the only level playing field that I see in UltraPoor racing anymore is the 4800 class, because there's a rule cap, and it's a strict rule cap. They took IFS out of it. You can't have an independent car in a 48 class. You got to have a solid axle. You got to have a single shock per side, right? And a 37-inch tire. So I did some research since we talked about it last.
All right, perfect. No, that sounded good.
Yeah.
Sounded good. it's a great class. I mean, I highly recommend anybody that wants to go, because whether you're going to race an XJ Cherokee like Gear Monkey, or you're going to race a 4800 car like mine, they all have to have so many of the same things. And a race program has to have so many of the same things, like spare wheels and tires, and like you got to have an off-road jack, and you got just all these things that you end up buying and accumulating in fuel dump cans, that the price delta between 4600 and, like, not obviously not the top 4800 car, but like to go 4800 racing versus 4600 racing, I don't feel like the price delta is
that different,
is as big as the jump in like fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like these cars are fast. A good 4800 car is a really, really fast, fun car with a lot of suspension and a lot of horsepower. And I mean, short of the Ford factory Broncos, like I don't think 4600s are really all that fast.
Right.
I don't know. I just don't know that I'd want to be, tens of thousands of dollars wrapped up in a car that just, makes you piss blood after you drive it through the desert.
So yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
On that note, because this is where I've struggled, where if we do get into racing, we do build a car, like we're all pretty confident in the rocks. East Coast, we have trees, we have rocks. Like that's easy stuff for us, relatively speaking. What's the learning curve for going fast in the desert? Like,
yeah, it looks frightening.
Yeah, like
that legitimately scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I think you and I did.
Yeah, it's funny you guys bring that. It's funny you bring that up, because the guy that I navigated for at this last Hammers, Aaron Smith, he's from Texas. And all his wheeling is from Texas and east. So it's all the private parks, the trees, the rocks, all that stuff. And we got into the desert to pre-run. And I'm like, okay, so you can like pick it up a little bit. And he's like, well, I don't know how, or I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what's coming. And I'm like, well, it's like this for the next 20 miles, like you can just go faster. And he's like, but how do you know when it's not like this? And it just, we had all these conversations about how the California desert was something he didn't have any experience with, and therefore he had zero comfort driving fast in it. And it wasn't until that happened that I realized, oh man, I'm super fortunate. Like, I grew up in California riding dirt bikes and camping and driving my truck, and it's just the ability to kind of read terrain, and the way that the geography lays itself out, and the way water flows in the winter, and the way it creates, ruts and valleys and whoops, and it all just kind of makes sense to my brain, I guess. And so for me to drive fast in the desert, it's just not that big of a hurdle, I guess. But for somebody that doesn't have California desert or experience with it, I now, having ridden with Aaron, can see how it's that there is a challenge there for sure. To answer your question, like, how do you do it? I think you just have to start driving.
Yeah.
And pre-running's the best way to gain confidence, because you can mark terrain that is bad, and therefore you can go fast until you come across a marking you made that's bad, and then slow down. And the better your notes are, and the more you pre-run, the better you feel about going really fast. But I think for most cars, until you start getting really, really capable cars that are tuned really well, you're gonna puss out way before, like, the car is done tolerating terrain before you puss out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the terrain gets really, really rough out there, and the car is just physically going to be beating itself off the bump stops before you're tired of going fast.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
So what speeds are you typically seeing in 4800 in those fast sections?
Everybody always wants to know, like, oh, how fast are you going in the desert? And it's like, well, which part? Like the
Right.
worst whoops, you're going 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the best case dry lake bed, you can take it to red line in top gear, because there's not a single bump on the entire lake bed. So I've gone as fast as 103 or something on the lake bed,
Wild.
but I've also gone as slow as 15 miles an hour when you just can't get like on top of the whoops, or you can't get the rhythm right, or it's just too jarring. Or you're just worried about tagging a rock, maybe it's kind of a little bit more technical section of the desert and you don't want to wipe out a sidewall or something.
Yeah, I get that. I
always think back to when you and I went side by side, me and the Grand Cherokee, you and the XJ, and we were doing, I don't know, 20 miles an hour over some rocks.
It was just fun as shit.
And we were giggling like, oh, race car stuff. And we're like, oh, it was only 20 miles an hour. And you broke a shock.
And I ripped the shock out of the body of my Cherokee. Yeah. That's the closest we've ever got to racing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really doesn't. Yeah. And I think it kind of proves the point. Like, it doesn't really matter how fast you go. Like, racing is fun.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're 20 miles an hour next to your buddy or if you're 80 miles an hour next to somebody. It's still really, really fun just to try to do better than the guy next to you.
Yeah. Racing's fun. Off-road cars are fun. Like, it's all. Yeah. It's like the best of all the worlds. Yeah. That's why I want to get into it so bad, because I want to build my Camaro into a pro touring car. Yeah. That's always been my dream, as a pro touring car. But I still feel like that would compare to even doing like rock competitions in my Cherokee as it is now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I would have so much more fun. Right. I mean, it would be a great time being a pro touring car. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like the joy of being off-road and doing what you do with like 37 or 35-inch tires is just so much greater, because it's that true first love is off-road. And
I've gone full 180, because I grew up with the hot rod stuff, where like you would always wash your car and you'd armor all the tires and you were always making everything look real nice and painting everything like to the craziest amount of detail and detailing all your bolt heads and all the stupid like car show style stuff. And now look, now I drive an $800 rusty shitbox from Minnesota, and I try to smash it into everything I can.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm much happier now mechanically because I'm trying to put less in and get more out. Yeah. And I feel like before I was always just putting a lot in and maybe not getting as much out. So yeah, it sounds cool to build a pro touring car that could do all this stuff, but does it turn out too nice and you don't even want to go drive it to the grocery store?
So that's going to be my stipulation of this car, is it's not going to have finished paint on it, and I'm going to drive the piss out of it. Like, nice days when I don't want to drive whatever, because I just sold my truck, when I don't want to drive whatever car I've got at the time, I'm going to drive the Camaro to work 30 miles down. Like, I live on a dirt road. I've got to come up a mountain, down a mountain, and then sit in traffic. Like, it's going to be a driver. Yeah. And that's kind of like my off-road inspiration, is like, build it to be used. It's not going to be built to sit in a showroom or sit in some barn somewhere and just kind of let the paint fade through fluorescent tubes, That shit kills me. I hate when people build cars just to sit under fluorescent, or I guess it's LED lights now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what, I talk about, like, my dad not quite understanding, is like, he'd watch and he'd be a huge part of helping me put the car together for King of the Hammers. And all the crazy detail I go to just to try to make sure the thing is mechanically as good as it can be, and then just go absolutely destroy the car and beat the piss out of it, for 10 days pre-running and racing, just to start over and do it all, again. It just doesn't understand that. But it's, if you're not building it to use it, like, I don't even want it anymore. So exactly. I really feel that way about all my vehicles. It's like, I don't want anything nice if I'm not going to use it. Like, I don't ever want to go to a car show ever again. Like, I'm tired of looking. I've looked at enough stuff in my life. I want to just use, abuse, enjoy. Like,
yeah, it's a weird concept.
I'm
not
saying I want to go out and destroy.
It's a weird concept for people that don't understand it, because my father-in-law is like, he's a Harley guy. He's like a classic Harley guy. Even if he doesn't ride his bikes, he's out on Saturday washing his bikes. So he's got a paved driveway. So when I need to do like some serious work on my Cherokee, I'll trail over to his house and we'll work on it in the driveway. And he's like, you're not going to like touch that up with paint or like, I'll do my torque check, but he's like, you're like that. Those bolts don't match. Like just odd stuff is off. Like that's fine for me and you, but for the Harley guy, the hot rodder, he's got a 2003 Wrangler that's got 30,000 miles on it and has never been off road. But it's beautiful. It's like it's what you would expect, but it's fun to kind of mess with those guys, and that's kind of what I'm doing. The guys that call axles rears, you mess with those guys.
Yeah.
And that's my goal with the Camaro is to mess with the old timers.
Yeah.
So what if you guys were gonna build a race car? What would you build?
Whatever we can afford.
Yeah, that's the short answer. No, the short answer on what we'd build is whatever we can afford or whatever anybody would pay us. Yeah, would pay us to build, which is never going to happen because we've never done it before. But I don't know. I've always said it would be a 4600 car, but the more we learn about it, the more I lean into 48. And I kind of come to the same conclusion you were talking about. You know, the cost to do 48 is not that much different than the cost to do 46. So why not have a more capable car and have more fun with it? I think the big thing we learned from Daniel was 4600 cars are not stock.
Oh, by far from it.
Yeah, like my idea of a 4600 car was Tim's XJ with gears, ratcheting lockers, and axle trusses, and a roll cage and 5-point harness and go to town. But then you start talking about
reinforcing everything.
Everything gets reinforced. The spare parts were always an idea. We're always on the list, and doubling the cost of building an axle all of a sudden starts getting real expensive real quick. And if you're going to put the money in, the 48 makes sense. And I'm pretty confident in my welding abilities. I don't know if I'm race car tube chassis confident yet, but it's a goal.
Yeah. I see. What I see for us is we're going out to Hammers in February.
Yeah.
We're going to go out. Our goal is, we're going to hang out with whoever wants to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Is I think we're going to shack up with Gear Monkey just because they've already invited us, and it's like it's a good connection. They're in Georgia. They're close. So I think we're planning on going with them. But we're going to try and get to know everyone, and if we can either get for the upcoming years, get a co-dog spot, get a spot on the team,
pits, yeah.
Changing tires and pits, just doing whatever, kind of like start sweeping the floors.
Yeah,
you're welcome to come in the shop, but you got to sweep the floors type thing. Because that's really our budget is floor sweeping.
Yeah, no, that's really the best. I talked about going out there for 5 years helping my buddy with his 4600 Toyota, and he was never successful at finishing the race, but I undoubtedly finished my race because of everything I learned helping him. And I highly recommend, if you even think you want to go racing, become a part of a pit crew, become part of a team, and maybe you don't have a lot to offer, but you make a mean sandwich, start there.
Hey, it's Trevor.
Whatever. But you'll
shots fired.
You'll learn.
Sorry, inside joke.
You'll learn. No, you'll learn the most because, just as long as your eyes and ears are open, you'll pick up a ton. And it's just such a steep learning curve. I watch, this year they started that rookie program.
Yeah, that was cool to watch.
And Dave talked about how every year they would have 10 to 20 new racers sign up for King of the Hammers, but very few of them would ever come back after that first year because they were having such a bad experience.
Yeah.
Overall, it was too expensive. It was too hard. It was too confusing, everything. So they thought, well, what's the best way to get retention out of the new guys? And they thought, well, maybe if we could help teach them some stuff. And several veteran racers said, man, I wish that existed when I got started because I had to learn the hard and expensive way, how to keep doing this. And I feel fortunate that I had a friend that went racing, and I got to learn through all of his trials and tribulations and heartaches and So by the time I got a race car, I said, okay, these are the things I felt like he did right, and these are the things I felt like he did wrong. And I want to, I want to learn from all of that, and I want to put together the best quote program. I always have a hard time calling it a program because it's, I'm not that accomplished or organized. Like we don't have anything real legitimate. It's really budget, but if I guess it's a program, it I just wanted to maximize everything I could and not have as many heartaches. And I've had a couple failures now, but I figured if I could have more successes than failures, I might want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. I just forgot what I was going to say. God damn it.
No, I mean, I definitely don't go into it.
Oh, yeah, I just remembered.
With the expectation that, like, we're going to win. I think my false sense of security of being able to finish is what motivates it. But I also am realistic in the fact that if we're probably going to blow something up on the first day, because that's it's kind of our MO.
I couldn't imagine being a rookie before the rookie program, going back to the rookie program, is like and taking a car out to the desert without ever being there. Yeah, it's so daunting. Even trying to figure out logistics of just getting out there, setting up camp, and figuring out water and showers. Like it's so intimidating. I couldn't imagine trying to do that with a whole race team for the first time ever. So that's probably why those guys never showed back up.
I think about no, it's true. And I think about, if I ever feel like complaining about how hard it is to get to Hammers, I need to shut up because I live just a few hours away and I feel like it's hard, and then you've got guys like, Gear Monkey or the Miller Motorsports guys. Like, I don't care what your budget is, whether it's non-existent or unlimited, but getting all the way across the country and then having to do all the King of the Hammers stuff, like, I mean, guys have stories of wrecking their trucks and blowing up their tow vehicle motors and, trailers falling apart and all this stuff. Just trying to get to California. Yeah. So
that sounds like us.
It's definitely a really, really big effort. Yeah.
Yeah. It's even like I recognize the small details. Like we road trip to the SEMA show back in November, and I thought I had the entire trip planned perfectly, and we were about, I don't know, halfway through Texas, and I realized that on my timing of where we were going to be and stop, I didn't account for the time zone changes. So all of a sudden we were like 3.5, 4 hours ahead of schedule, and like we were going to be way too early for our hotel in Vegas, and was like, oh shit, we got to stop somewhere and like spend the night because we're going to roll into Vegas at 2 a.m. after being in a car for 30 straight hours and be miserable.
Yeah, just imagine doing that now with a race team, 2 trucks,
trailers.
You're paying $3,000 in diesels to get across the country and back. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to practice a couple times.
We got to practice. Yep.
Yeah, I took my family with me to the Moab race a couple of years ago, and we borrowed, a friend of mine was nice enough to let me use his big Class C motorhome that would tow the race car and everything. And that was a small scale road trip, just a few states away, but it was just a mess. It was such a mess and so stressful. Like, and that was even before the race started. It was like, the hitch broke on the motorhome and dropped the trailer in a parking lot. Thank God it wasn't on the freeway. Like the toilet in the motorhome overflowed. the batteries were dead, and like it just like all these logistical problems, and it made it really, really less enjoyable. So.
How often do you get to go out and go wreck wheeling? I know we've seen the $800 truck out on Instagram and everything. Do you actually still enjoy wreck wheeling as a race car driver, or is that kind of going the way of the dodo?
So it definitely, I always tell people if you like wreck wheeling, don't get into racing, because it kind of, unless you don't work, like if you're just somehow, a trust fund kid, or you grow weed, or like, I don't know, somehow you're independently wealthy, like it just doesn't, there's not enough time to do all of it. So the guys that have figured out how to race and wreck wheel, like hats off to them. But I don't have time to do both. And like last year, I spent a lot of time during the build phase of the car. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to a lot of events and I'm going to be a part of like these trail cleanups and I'm just going to try and go out and just enjoy off-roading and four-wheeling and all that. Well, all that meant was there was zero race car time that got put in last year. And this year I've tried to flip the script a little bit to where, because it's real simple. If you want to have a successful race car, you need to spend all your days off working on it. And I don't care if it's you're building one like I am, or if you're just maintaining one. If you're not actively doing something for your race program, maybe it's making your chase truck better or outfitting your race trailer with, better layout or tools, or like if you're just not doing something on your race program, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So it's hard, if I have time, I feel like it should be spent doing race stuff. Maybe I care too much. I don't know. Like people would always have like, I would have the transmission rebuilt all the time in my car. And I know guys that have never even taken the transmission out of their race car. And I just don't understand how you could spend, $10,000 to get to King of the Hammers and just in logistical and fuel and registration and guess that your transmission's okay. Like just take it out and give it back to the rebuilder and, get a clean bill of health on it. I don't know.
Spend the $1,000.
Everybody does it a little different, but it is hard to rec wheel now. Like it, but if I rec wheel for more than like a day, I'm bored. I'm super bored. Like, and that's why I was driven to racing, was because rec wheeling to me is super boring. Like I don't want to just sit around on one trail for 6 or 8 hours and watch all my unprepared friends break their stuff. I really enjoy.
It was a test.
I really enjoy the pace of racing. That's what I enjoy about the racing is it's like being really efficient. You're just out there trying to cover as much ground as you can, as fast as you can, and see as much and do as much. And again, back to Aaron, like after a week and a half together in Johnson Valley, pre-running and racing, he's like, man, I feel like I've done a year's worth of wheeling in one trip. And it's true. I mean, we've by the time we pre-ran and raced, we probably drove 50 plus rock trails, and I don't think there's a lot of people that get that much wheeling in an entire year. They'll go to one park or one Rubicon or one Fordyce, and they get like 2 or 3 of those in a year or something. So I think just being somebody that doesn't sit around well, it's better for me to be a racer than a rec wheeler.
Yeah, I definitely understand that too, because like that's also another thing that led me to get rid of my truck. I'm going to talk about my truck a lot because it literally just happened. Is like rec wheeling's fun. I love it. But we go to the same place, same 3 places. You do the same trails. You may have a challenge. You may do this, do that. It's just a little bit different every time, but it does get boring. Like and I'm like I'm keeping my Jeep. I don't own anything on my Jeep. It maintain like it quote unquote maintains itself. Like it takes little to no maintenance because I don't beat the shit out of it.
Yes, you do,
but a little bit. But yeah, I'm keeping it. I'm doing the rec wheeling stuff because I've already got the setup and my buddies enjoy it. But I completely understand that like getting out there and racing could be so much more fun and spending that time that you could be kind of bored waiting on people actually in the seat doing 100 miles in the desert and then bouncing through the rocks once or twice a year definitely outweighs the one trip every other month.
Yeah. And I remember listening to you guys on a earlier episode talk about how, whatever tons and 40s is like cheat code stuff. When I do rec wheel, I enjoy like the challenge of like bringing the wrong vehicle.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the fun of this, this $800 truck is like, you're not supposed to take a crew cab long bed, like on a rock trail. Like that's not what most people would pick, Right. So it's like, well, is it going to make it harder? Okay, then I'm in. Let's do it. I don't really ever see myself having a 40-inch tire tube buggy that I go out and rec wheel it. Like, because if you can, I don't know, if you can hold a beverage in one hand and your Bluetooth speakers blaring and you're just like one finger driving everything, I don't know. Like, that doesn't even sound
Right.
like, is it relaxing? Sure, but I enjoy like things that are hard and challenging and difficult. So I think I'd rather be out there on 33-inch tires with a welded diff trying to figure it out than have just a moon buggy that could climb anything anytime.
Yeah.
I think that's the direction I'm taking. My build is the biggest rear axle I'm going to go is the 8.8. I'm going to stick with a 35-inch tire, lockers front and rear, lunchbox lockers front and rear, because I enjoy, when I'm out there, I actually enjoy a challenge. I don't want to do a 37 or a 40. I'm also too poor. I don't want to do a 37 or a 40 because that takes away a lot of the challenge that we have around here, because I mean, we don't have we have big enough rock trails, but we don't have huge rock trails.
Yeah. It's not a Moab thing. Like anything over 37, I feel like in our local area is, I mean, we beat it to death. It's totally overkill. It's just not necessary. Like, I was the guy on 33s with no lockers, not even a welded diff.
Just beating the piss out of it.
Just beating the piss out of the Jeep. And everyone's like, oh, your Jeep's so well built. I'm like, no, it's not built at all. Like, I saw all the fenders and put tires on it. like your JL Rubicon is way overkill for what we're doing.
You got a driver mod and they got they got a money mod.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I feel like that's where the fun exists too, and that's why it's like, you talk about rec wheeling versus racing. It's like, okay, well, if the race car is going to take all my time and money, in the garage and then the checkbook and everything to have as good a race car as I can, I feel like my rec wheeler should just be the absolute biggest pile of junk that I put zero effort into.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I don't have the time or money to do both, and I'm probably going to have fun, clutch dumping a Suzuki Sidekick because it doesn't have low enough TK gears to try and get it, try and get it up over a rock pile or something. So, it's all fun though. Like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't figured out how to do off-roading wrong yet. It's just such a
you can't do it wrong as long as you're out there now. As long as you're out there doing it, you can't do it wrong. That's the awesome thing about off-roading is we've talked about overlanding. What's the best vehicle overlanding? Anything. You can do it in anything. You can
anything.
Yeah, you can't fuck it up unless you brake. But then when you brake, you got buddies that are smarter than you.
You hope.
Yeah, you can't do it wrong.
But you can.
Yeah, I'm at a point where, like, you can. You certainly can. Yeah, plenty of guys doing it.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate.
Yeah, I'm trying to find ways to do more. I'm just at a point where I'm trying to do more family things too with the off-roading. My wife likes being off-road. She doesn't really like the racing from the time suck or money suck commitment, but she likes the outdoors. She likes the off-roading. My oldest daughter enjoys being out there with me. She's not too afraid of the off-road thing, and so it's, I want to try to, as I move forward, just find that balance of, the racing is obviously a pretty selfish endeavor of mine, but I want the family, the family wheeling to create really good memories and hopefully teach my daughters some good life skills and stuff along the way.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you being on. Is there anything you wanna drop or promote? I know you got your UltraPoor stickers that you're whoring out.
Yeah,
those are pretty sweet. We got one on the door of the shop. What do you want to promote?
Somebody said that at the last cheap truck challenge thing we did. They said something about UltraPoor, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, how have I not really heard this? And I know he wasn't even the original person to use the words, but I said, hey man, can I buy it off you? And he's like, you can just have it. And he's like, if somebody will do something with it. So yeah, I just started making, we had a logo drawn up real quick and made some stickers, and it's not even like a side hustle as much as it is just kind of entertainment now for the community, because everybody gets that, like, UltraPoor makes you ultra poor. Like, that's just all there is to it. So, hopefully when Dave Cole sees the sticker himself, he's not upset about it, but it's just fun.
Still waiting on that cease and desist.
We're just kind of going with it. Yeah, exactly. But Yeah, no, I mean, if people want to follow along on IG, that's where I spend most of my time, UltraPoor Jones. And then I started a YouTube channel just to work on kind of the marketing side of sponsors and marketing partners is Chasing 518, which
Yep.
is my race number.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's where you can find me if you wanna follow along with all the chaos that is chasing the dream.
Yeah,
cool,
sure.
man.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being on. We're looking at. We'll definitely have you on again.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Looking forward to meeting you out in Johnson Valley next year. We got a lot of people to meet. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that trip.
It's a good thing it's like a 2-week trip.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you guys know where to find us at the Dirt Drive, Facebook, Instagram, Dirt Nerds Off Road YouTube. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off again.
Oh, I was gonna say on the hammers thing for you guys or any of the listeners, if anybody has any questions about how to do stuff or how to get involved, or hammers will be here again before we know it. Like I'm such an open book on how I do everything out there and how I get organized and how I go racing, and I had a lot of people help me, and I just want to do that for everybody else. So please feel free to reach out, and I'll help anybody in any way that I can.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thanks for being on, and we appreciate all our listeners, and we appreciate you for being on. We had a ton of fun. And to our listeners, we will see you guys next week. Thanks.
are you enjoying this podcast? Do you want more ridiculousness from the Dirt Nerds? Check out DirtNerdsOffroad.com. It'll link to all of our social media, as well as our YouTube page, and you can pick up some sweet merch to help support the podcast and other adventures.